when the prior superintendent came to us in 2010 and said, the city of Avondale is a city of hope. And I believe there's a direct connection to what happens here in Avondale Elementary School District relative to what it means to develop hope with our children. So just like any opportunity that we have to bring a new initiative into our district, the first thing that we want to do is to make sure that there's an alignment. And after careful study, there definitively was an alignment between what happens with Kids at Hope and what was already happening with the actions in our district. What Kids at Hope was able to do was to be able to give us words to assign to the actions that were already happening. So when our teachers were talking to children about their future and how they were going to be able to go on to college and all of the things that we would be able to do, that was creating hope. Kids at Hope calls that a destination, college and career. When our social workers and our counselors were talking to our children about their future families and how that could possibly be connected, that was Kids at Hope and home and family destination, and so on and so forth. And so when we engage with Kids at Hope in the Avondale Elementary School District, we did it just like any other professional development. We did training for all of our staff. We made sure that every single one of our students knew the Kids at Hope pledge, and we did it every day. Once a week, we made sure we did the Treasure Hunter pledge so that we made sure that the adults were also pledging back to our kids, critically important. We made sure that they knew what ACEs were. Then we did ACEs tracking. Then we also had our people, probably year 2, year 3, engage in the report cards to be able to say, hey, you may not know that you have this gift, but as an adult in your world, I see it, and you could be this or you could be that. And that is an incredibly powerful opportunity for kids to have someone say, I see something in you you don't even know you have. That's Kids at Hope. So we did this for a couple of years, and I think that we did a remarkable job of it. And we thought in the Avondale Elementary School District, if you know anything about us, we don't do anything halfway. So at that point, we said we need to take it to the next level. And we started to celebrate children at our monthly governing board meetings. In each one of our school sites, so 10 of them, identified a student, and I had the absolute privilege of sitting with a student for anywhere from 20 minutes to 40 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes, depending on what we ended up talking about, with a straight-on videotaped interview about Kids at Hope. There is not one that is the same, because there is no script. It really is about how students respond to the question of, what is Kids at Hope? If a new student came to school here, what would you tell them about Kids at Hope? Are you a kid at Hope? And how would I know that? And then we talk about ACEs, or we talk about destinations. We talk about what that could possibly be in the future and who the people are that they connect with in time traveling. All of those things are conversations that are had with kids. And we talk about probably what I would say is one of the scariest things, and almost always will bring a tear to my eye, when they start talking about what will happen when they don't have Kids at Hope, right? Because we don't stay kids forever. And so what happens when you're not saying the pledge every day? What happens if maybe you go to a high school wherein they don't do that Kids at Hope pledge every day, and maybe the treasure hunters that are there don't tell you that they're there as an adult and a treasure hunter to search for your talents, gifts, and intelligences? Maybe they don't say that explicitly. How do you know that? And I will tell you, through those one-to-one interviews, I had a young lady who actually paused. You know when you can see someone's mind moving. And a young lady paused and she thought, all right, so no one else is saying it around me. And she actually articulated this. No one else is saying the pledge around me. I could say it in my head. Sure, you absolutely could. She goes, I could probably say it to myself before I went to school. Absolutely, you could. And then she said, and when I'm an adult, I could say it to my children. Yes, you absolutely could. And then she paused a little bit longer. And nothing like waiting for the pause, right? Then she paused for a little bit longer, and she actually said, I could be an adult at Hope. Right? So I already told you, in the Avondale Elementary School District, we don't do things halfway. And so that became our conversation at our new teacher induction. Because in the Avondale Elementary School District, day one, we don't talk about curriculum. We don't talk about schedules. We don't talk about buses. We don't talk about procedures. We talk about the who we are in Avondale. We talk about Kids at Hope and make sure that every single person that comes into our district is well-versed in who we are, in the what we do. We didn't get that until we met with Jasmine, who told us we could be an adult at Hope and challenged us to be the adult at Hope. So I've already told you. Now all of a sudden we're meeting once a month with students. We're able to share that at the governing board meeting, and it's the student story. I cut me completely out of it. It's all about what the student is saying about Kids at Hope. So that's 10 students a year that we celebrate, and it's amazing. And then we added ACEs, because invariably they identify an ACE. That ACE speaks back to them in that governing board meeting via video as a surprise, and then that student recognizes their ACE. But that's 10 students, right? And those are words, right? So how do we know that the words are truly in their hearts and minds? And that is where the Art Walk of Hope came. Moving beyond the words, being able to represent Kids at Hope in images became our next goal. So across our district, we went to every one of our school sites with 20 cameras. We said, identify 20 children. Doesn't matter who, just 20 children. Come on down. We handed the camera. And the conversation was simply this. Take this camera over 4 days and take as many images as you want about Kids at Hope. What you see in your world is Kids at Hope. Not just at school. Do it at school, take it home, keep it over the weekend. We'll be back next Tuesday to talk about this or flop the week. And we had an opportunity for our children, 20 students at 10 schools, right? We can do some math here. At least 200 students were engaging this every year. We're able to select 5 images. And not just select 5 images. They selected those 5 images and put words to it. And they would take pictures of things such as inspirational quotes at the school and talk about how that connected with them and inspired them to go further. They took pictures of their siblings. One of my favorite pictures is this little baby, and you probably have seen it come across because every one of these images are images our children have taken. We have over 4,000 images that our children have taken over the past several years to be able to celebrate Kids at Hope. So one of them is this little boy, little baby boy, and here is this 14-year-old young man telling us about his home and family in the future and about the number of children he wants. And he wants 3 children, clearly. You know, maybe it'll be 1 boy and 2 girls. Maybe it'll be 2 girls and 1 boy. Maybe it'll be twins and another baby. But all of these things are things he can envision now as a 14-year-old man, young man, who's expressing what is important to him in the future. I want to share with you that the images here represent what our children think in their minds and in their hearts about Kids at Hope. We've been able to capture that in a way that I think tells their story and continues to tell it time and time again. We have one image in particular that I want to share with you, actually 2. One of them, and it's not in this, but it's on our wall. We have a kind of a wallpaper look, and if you step outside, it literally is 1,000 images. And you can see all of the images from that year. There's an image of what looks like literally a piece of carpet, kind of like how I take pictures with my phone. I take my phone out, and invariably I take a picture, and I thought, wow. We got that in there by accident, and et cetera. And the person who had got to interview that child said, no, that wasn't by accident. Let me tell you what the quote was. That is the armchair of our sofa in our living room. You need to be comfortable with who you are. Right? Our kids get it. They can communicate it. There's one more image, and I hope that you've seen it. There's multiple images, but the one that has become kind of the staying point for our district, and it's an image of railroad tracks. Fourth grade student, Aiden, who goes on to describe, literally, do you see these railroad tracks? Do you see how they keep going and going? Well, that's kind of like your goals. That's kind of like you set your goals. You can't stop. You've got to keep going. And that railroad track tells us that even if sometimes you get taken off track, because you do, you just go back and you keep moving on that goal because you're going to make it. You're going to get there. That's what our kids know about their future. So in our district, our mission, that every student, every child, will grow as a thinker, a problem solver, and a communicator to a future without limits. Their future is filled with hope, and they can visualize it. Thank you.